My name is Alyssa, and this is Listen to Liss. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. So excited you could join us for episode 2 of Listen to Liss. Last week, I broke down the step-by-step process of my written work when I'm learning a song. So we did all of the written work. We solfeged, we did the punctuation exercise, we did key signature, we did all that sorts of good stuff. So today, we're actually going to be taking a step back, and we're going to be going into the basics of music. This is Sheet Music 101. We're going to be doing some vocab. I'm going to be explaining some things, just to help give you a better understanding when you're reading sheet music, what it is that you're actually looking at. Let's go ahead and get started. We are going all the way down to the very basics. We're going to be talking about the staff. The staff is the basis of all music. The staff has 5 lines and 4 spaces. The next thing is a measure. A measure is the staff broken up into chunks, basically, with a bar line. When people talk about a 16 bar cut, they're talking about 16 measures. They're talking about 16 of these guys. That's a measure. So what goes on the staff? Notes go on the staff. This is a note. Let's break it down. This is the anatomy of a note. This is the note head. This is the stem. The stem reaches from the note head all the way up to an octave above the note. That's how you know how long to make your stem if you were to be writing sheet music by hand. Every note has a value. Here's a secret. There's a lot more math in music than you think there is. I know. Every note has a value, and that value tells you how long you sustain that note. Tell what the note's value is by what it looks like. So this is a whole note. It's an open oval. This is a half note. It's an open oval with a stem. This is a quarter note. It's a closed oval with a stem. An eighth note, and then we have a 16th note. They look like this. This is where it starts to look scary. It's not scary. It's not scary. It's just new. Okay? It's just new. You got it. Then we rarely see these, but we do have 30-second notes, and they look like this. Now, on the reverse side of that, we have rests. Rests are where you're not singing or you're not playing. There's no sound. They're resting. You're holding. Every rest has a value, and they correlate to a note value. Starting again from the top, we have a whole rest, which kind of looks like a little hat. The way that I learned to remember the whole and half rest when I was in choir in middle school was that because it looks like a top hat. And so the whole note, it's like he's tipping his hat like a gentleman. The whole note is a whole gentleman because he flips his hat all the way. And the half note is only half a gentleman because he only tops it to you like that. A little silly thing, but I think about it every single time I look at a whole and half note because that was ingrained into my brain when I was young. Maybe that'll help you remember. Next one is a quarter rest. It looks like this little Harry Potter scar, this little zigzag with a C here. And then we have an eighth rest, which is a little dot with the a swoop, swoop. You see it. And then a 16th rest is basically 2 of those stacked together. You can kind of see how they play on variations of each other. They're connected, especially looking at the whole half quarter note, the way they kind of break it up. It's very clear. It's almost like this web kind of thing. And you can actually look at them all stacked together so you can see what they're worth in this kind of pyramid idea of them breaking out from each other. So you can see that within every whole note, there's 2 half notes and 4 quarter notes. It's fractions. It's that same thing. Now, there's also a dotted note. So a dotted note looks like this. You can add a dot to any note value. And basically what a dot means is that it's the note's value plus half. If it's a quarter note that you would hold for 2 beats, you would now hold it for 3 because you would hold it for its value plus half. And that works for anything. And that also goes for rest. It's the same for rest. The dot adds half value. Now we're going to talk time signatures. What is a time signature? A time signature is telling you the number of beats per measure and also what note value gets that beat. Okay? I know that sounds confusing. The first time I heard that, I was like, basically, it's much more simple than it sounds. The most common time that you're going to see is 4/4. That's actually called common time. Sometimes you'll see it labeled as this with a C, and that's common time. So 4/4 is common time. 4/4 time means there are 4 beats per measure. Now the bottom 4 tells me that the quarter note gets the beat. I know now that 1 quarter note equals 1 beat, and there's going to be 4 quarter notes in each measure. Now, It doesn't have to just be 4 quarter notes, but it needs to equal that amount. So at the end, we need to always reach the sum of 4 quarter notes. How can that look? That can look like 1 whole note. It could look like 2 half notes. It could look like any variety of things. And that's where we get music. Music comes from changing these note values and creating new patterns and such. That is what a time signature is, and that applies for all time signatures. So you may have 3/4 time means that the quarter note gets the beat, and that there's 3 quarter notes in each phrase. So that looks like this. And then breaking off from that, 6/8 time, it goes on and on and on. It attributes to the way that you count the music and the way you feel the music. 4/4 time is a very square, like, it's a steady beat. And then you count off from there, which we'll get more into when we dive into rhythm learning in a later episode. 3/4 time is like a waltz. The waltz is 3/4. It has more of a swooping. The time signature helps you determine how to feel the music and how to count it. Now that we've learned all of these things, let's go back to the very first thing we learned, the staff. Remember the staff? It has 5 lines. What we're going to do now is basically assign value to these lines and make them make sense within the context of reading the music. This is the staff. This is the grand staff. It's fancy. Basically, the grand staff is a treble clef and a bass clef.
What's the treble and bass clef?
Fabulous question, Alyssa. Let's get into it. Basically, the treble clef is written for soprano, alto voices, these higher lines. Typically, the lead melody will be in this line. And then the bass clef is written for tenor bass voices. This is a treble clef. This is a bass clef. It's just a way to split up the music and divide it into sections to make it a little bit easier to read, rather than the staff would be way too long if everybody tried to read on the same staff. It would be not 5 lines, or you would be writing notes way down there and it just wouldn't make any sense. Grand staff has both treble and bass clef. Now we can get into
the musical alphabet.
So the musical alphabet is easy. It only has 7 letters. The musical alphabet is A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Now, we're going to put these letters onto the staff, and this is going to give you the basis of how you learn to sight read and read music. The treble clef, the first line of the treble clef is E. Always. It will always be E. The first line of the treble clef is E. Forever and ever. From there, it's easy. You just count up. It starts on E. E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E. That's the treble clef. It will always be that way. That's how you start to read music, because you learn these. You have to learn them. That's the basics. Now for bass clef, the bass clef starts on G. So it's G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. Treble clef always starts on E. Bass clef always starts on G. And that's how you can tell where you are. Now that we know the musical alphabet and we've identified our staff, we can look at key signature. Key signature is what tells us what key we are in. When we're in major mode, which we'll get into the modes and more later when we get into sight reading, when we're in the major mode, meaning that we are do centered, which is, I would say, the most common modality. The way that we know this is by looking at the number of accidentals that are on the measure. So it'll be always listed right here at the top of the page in the first measure. It'll be there because it tells you which notes need to always have an accidental. And what is an accidental? An accidental is a flat, a sharp, or a natural. And basically what they do is they alter the pitch just slightly. A sharp is going to raise the pitch just slightly, just by half a step. So this is for when a composer maybe doesn't want you to move a full step up. He'll just move a little half step just to put a little twinge on the sound. A flat is going to move the pitch 1/2 step down. And then a natural is used to mark that there's no longer an accidental in use. Accidental only applies to that measure. If you're reading sheet music and there's an accidental, every time that note repeats within that measure, that accidental will apply. But once you move to the next measure, that's done. If a composer doesn't want you to have to continue using the accidental, they'll put a natural, basically canceling it out. It's basically just like, go back to where you were. And sometimes they'll even do it on that next measure just to re-emphasize that that accidental is no longer in use. Let's review the things that we've learned today. First, we talked about the staff. The staff has 5 lines and 4 spaces, and it's where we write the music. It's the basis of the music. It's broken up into measures, and we know how many notes go in those measures based on our time signatures, which are the beats per measure over the note value. So 4/4, 4 beats per measure, quarter note base. Then we talked about our note and rest values. We have whole, half, quarter, eighth, 16th, and 32nd. We'd have dotted notes in all note values. We talked about what a grand staff is. We talked about treble and bass clef. We talked about our musical alphabet and identified our musical alphabet for both our treble and bass clef, remembering that our treble clef always starts on E and our bass clef always starts on G. That will not ever change. Lastly, we learned about accidentals and what they are and what they look like. This was Listen to List. Thank you so much for tuning in and learning a little bit today with me. I hope that you learned something. I hope you had a good time, and I will see you next week.